Hi friends, Terry Knickerbocker here, coming to you from our studio here at Industry City, and I have a wonderful guest today, and a very special guest to me, Nate Flower. Nate studied, we've had a similar path.
Yeah.
Because Nate trained with the late William Esper,
I did.
who was my mentor and teacher, and trained with Maggie Flanagan, who was also my teacher. Taught for Maggie at her studio, and then when a little 11 years ago when I went to start this studio, I reached out to Nate because I was a bit confused about movement and what would be good movement, and I thought movement should be in the training, and I wanted your advice.
Yeah.
But what I got was much better, which was an offer to teach. And you've been here along with Matthew Dudley, the longest of anybody here from the start.
Wow.
And are really such a strong anchor point for the training. People who do the work with you and your movement team, movement department, end up being better actors.
For sure.
And I think we speak a lot of the same language, so it's a real privilege to have you here today to talk.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Terry.
Yeah.
It's a privilege to be here, and it's a privilege to be a part of your faculty.
Yeah. And you, you still teach. I was going to say something provocative, but I left NYU. I was there for a long time, teaching at the Experimental Theater Wing as well as being a graduate of there, and ultimately the studio took more of my time that I needed to step away, but I also think academia is a challenging place,
Yeah.
Right now to train. Yeah. So I think we have a bit more freedom here for various reasons. Among other things, we don't have a board of trustees. But I want to talk about anything you want to talk about, for sure, but what's on my mind really is excellence in the craft. I think you know that the business right now, show business, is in a bit of a slump.
Yeah.
They're still making lots of content, but they're really tight with money, and it's going to a smaller pool of people. So it feels like there are less opportunities. And there are less opportunities. But my personal belief is that the only way to win, therefore, is to be as good as you can be.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about where training fits into that, and specifically where movement training, which not every actor thinks is important.
Yeah.
Certainly when I went to NYU to train to be an actor.
Yeah.
I didn't go, I can't wait to get to NYU and do movement. But they required it.
Yeah.
And I think ultimately they were right. So anything you want to riff on with that?
I think you're right that an actor who doesn't fully understand, and sometimes an actor coming to training needs to be guided into, like, how do you reach a level of excellence? How do you aspire, and how do you create a pathway for that moves toward mastery? An actor needs help understanding, well, it isn't just about the act of reading a script and trying to make that script, trying to take that on as a character or tell that story. There are foundational pieces of training that go into that, and vocal training, acting training, and what I do really well, which is movement training. I think when an actor steps into training, they bring their habits with them, their habits in their body. And sometimes those habits are in place for like all the right reasons. Habits develop in us because they help us be who we are, they help us achieve what we want, but sometimes they also help us cope, they help us survive. I say to actors all the time, when we're working on like shifting how they exist or use their bodies, that as movement faculty, we're not trying to take away your life habits. You need those. But as an artist, as an actor, are those life habits supporting your best work?
Yeah.
Are those habits that might help you cope emotionally, might help you cope physically? Are those habits supporting your most liberated artistic self?
Right.
So movement, especially in the early, we offer 4 semesters of movement at your studio. And in those first 2, even to 3 semesters, we are helping students, helping actors identify, recognize what a habit might be that is actually creating resistance for them to achieve excellence, to become a really compelling presence on camera or on stage. So those habits might be breath, they might be psychophysical, they might be emotional habits. And I think an actor who begins to recognize things that are holding them back in their body, which can be so illuminating and liberating, and so suddenly the actor feels like they have a much deeper, more immediate sense of access to themselves. I think their relationship to their body, instead of feeling like it can often for just human beings, civilians out in the world, your body can sometimes feel like there's a kind of confrontational response. You know, I want my body to do this, and the body's like, well, I don't want to do that. So an actor learns how to massage that relationship, how to smooth that out so it feels like your body is in support of your artistry, your body is in support of your talent. I'm going to pause right there. See if we're on the right
what you
track.
call habits, and they are habits, I would call defenses.
Yeah.
And then that seems like, oh, defenses are bad, but I actually agree with you that they're actually quite necessary. They brought you to now.
Sometimes.
They helped you to survive. The analogy I sometimes think about is like, if you grew up in Alaska, you would need a parka.
Yeah.
But now that you're in Miami, you don't necessarily need that defense. So I think it's not about lose your defenses. It's
No.
about have them be optional.
Yeah.
And if we agree that the idea that the acting space is safe,
Yeah.
or as our former chair at NYU, Ruben says, a brave space,
Yeah.
but no harm will happen to you. So
Right.
that if you can experiment in a training space with what would happen if I softened or allowed the other person to come into me, because acting is intimate, or allowed myself to flow out towards the other person without the rigid physical structures, psychophysical structures, to use your word, which I
Yeah.
like, that said, I can't do that, it's not safe.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't in my mother's house. And when I go to visit her on Thanksgiving, I will put that parka back on.
Yeah.
I'm not saying lose it. You can't
Yeah.
walk around New York
No.
open.
No.
But in acting, if we say that it, Bill Esper used to say that the imaginary world is like a padded cell, you know, like which they have in places where they deal with mental illness, so that even someone who wants to hurt themselves
Yeah,
can't be
can't.
hurt.
Yeah.
Like nothing's going to happen to you except you'll have an experience, which if you're an actor, that's what you want.
Yeah.
I wonder if you could share some case studies of,
Sure.
you don't have to name names, or you can make up names, but like students who, how they presented, and then how through the guidance of the training in the movement space became better actors altogether. Like, and then maybe someone who just wouldn't.
Yeah. I love the parka idea. You're so right about the parka in Alaska, whereas you go to Florida and you don't need it anymore. I think that's absolutely right on. And I do
Although the
think
nervous system doesn't know that. Like you have to kind of
you have to help
guided
Yep,
into it.
Yep, that's right. You know, right now I'm working with a group of actors here who are in their 3rd semester, and they are they have enough experience. They've had 2 semesters now, like 2.5 semesters of training, and I and my co-teacher Kana Satokola, we see growth 2.5 semesters, and we can see growth. We can see these actor bodies. I mean, I think it sounds poetic, but it feels like they emerge and are becoming radiant, clear, sophisticated but soft, like, and they're and the vocabulary that we're using almost every day when I teach, I identify sometimes as simple as one notion or piece of vocabulary, sometimes as many as half a dozen pieces of vocabulary, and I'm asking the actors to kind of bring those notions into their body. Use the word softening. You said the actor softening. That's a great word for us to use. And the actor is working through that entire 2-hour class, 2.5-hour class, the entire time kind of reminding themselves to soften, reminding themselves to soften.
Because the habit will come back, and
That's
then
right.
and then they get to like give themselves the prompt.
Yes.
Until that becomes the new habit.
And it
Yes.
drops in.
Yeah.
In that same vein, something that we really emphasize, particularly in this 3rd semester, is what happens to the actor's body when they leave the training space and step out into the world. And is there anything, because we can imagine, right? The movement class ends. I feel, I'm a student. I feel really open. I feel long and wide, and I feel like I'm. It's almost like I feel muscular, but very nimble. Feels great. But then I go out into the world. I go change. I put my shoes on and my coat, and I get my phone, and what I perceive and what I experience is that the moment I start doing that, it's almost like I'm putting the habits back onto me. Mm-hmm. My relationship with the screen, especially, suddenly that expansive body that I had is being kind of unintentionally. It's not the actor chooses that, but it becomes narrowed. What can walk out of the room with the actor? I'll say to a student. I was saying to this group I've been talking about, can you make it from the studio to the subway? Trying to keep some of that just alive a little bit, And you're absolutely right. Not in a way that would make them feel unsafe, because New York is nuts, but And what I see then, speaking of case studies, is the actor comes back and I'll check in. I'll say, "How's it going? What are you experiencing?" As you try to make that transition, and they'll be like, "Yeah, it felt really different. I got on the subway." And even though I recognize the subway is a space that I can't control, there could be stuff going on there that, but I can be a little bit more present.
Yeah.
Now, the point of this training is not to make the actor more present on the subway, but what is happening is that habit, that new, stronger, more muscular, more sustainable habit is being really embedded in the actor.
Yeah. I think actually it's not so bad to be more something on the subway, because if we're holding the mirror up to nature, I mean, how many of us actually taste the food we're eating?
Right.
How many of us actually see the people on the subway?
Sure.
Not in any way to make them go, "What are you looking at me?" But like actors are collectors, and so we want to be sponges to the world. And if we're closed off to the world, we have less to work with.
Absolutely.
So it's not just the embedded habit, but actually like what am I seeing?
That's right.
And what is out there?
And I think an actor in training can sometimes, initially, I experienced this both as an acting teacher of the Meisner technique and as a movement specialist, that sometimes actors initially, when they come to training, they almost feel like there's two versions of themselves. There's like this version that is invited to show up in the artistic training space. And that's a really exciting, potent, fertile, like, tingly, sparkly thing. But then they kind of go back and they're like, and then I'm myself out of my life. And I don't think that's so sustainable, which is I think what you're saying, like that you try to be two different people.
Yeah.
That those, to use this kind of clumsy, like the idea that there's two versions of yourself, how do those begin to merge and integrate so that you actually feel, to your point, that your growth is not just one side of your life and training, but is actually personal artistic growth. You are integrating that.
Yeah.
I believe that's possible.
Yeah.
But it takes a long time.
I'm thinking about someone, I think she was a student of yours. She had red hair, and and in the pandemic, everyone went home. We were online for a year and a half.
That's where I was.
And everyone left New York. I didn't leave New York, but many students who had homes, families outside of New York, because New York was an epicenter. And when she got and she was in the second year, March of the second year. She got home, and her somewhat conservative family in California said, "What happened? You're so big." And they didn't want that.
Oh no!
They didn't, like.
Oh, it was threatening, or it was different.
Like we're about to hit Thanksgiving. A lot of people in this training are going to go home and regress, because families tend to want us to be who we were.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
change is scary.
Yeah, change is scary, and so she struggled being there in California for the next 3 months.
Yeah.
She regressed quite a bit.
Yeah.
A lot of the growth that she'd been able to achieve for herself with that separation, included, like literally, you're so big.
Yeah.
But not just taller,
No.
wider, but like space, like stuff in you is taking up space.
There's an energetic expansion.
Yes.
I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That I think that is. I think that's pretty common, and I don't think it takes months of a pandemic for that to happen. I think that's why you and I are talking about this notion of like, you go home to your apartment and then you come back to training, even in those little transitions, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that person.
Yeah.
But not that we're here to talk about this, but we did some incredible things, sustaining actor growth through COVID.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, I honestly, this is a weird trip down memory lane, but like, I did not think you could teach acting or movement, any embodied art form involving touch in the body, on Zoom.
No.
And we figured out a way.
We did when we first started.
I think we were really good at it.
I
think a lot of people weren't.
Yeah. And I think what, if anything was like really reinforced during that time, was how, for me as a movement specialist, teaching movement on Zoom, that the movement class, even through the screen, became this, like, I remember actors craving that in the world of the pandemic, craving that connection.
Yes.
And it wasn't just emotional or internal, it was like a physical need.
And connection with each other.
Yeah.
What are your pet peeves, and what delights you when it comes to people in the training?
Let me
start with the second one.
Let me start with the second one.
Yeah. Isn't that pet peeves are like dismay?
Yeah.
And like, I wish they would.
I wish that was different.
Yeah.
I wish
they would get more out of it.
Yeah. There's something I perceive. I have 3 adult children of my own, and so not that our students are always aligned with that age group, like early 20s, but that it gives me a little bit of insight into younger folks. There's a lot of pressure on people, especially younger people, from late teens to early 20s, but even into late 20s, I think, to sort of decide who they are, what they'll do, what they won't do, and in a way that I see sort of like calcifies their thinking, their potential, their perspective. We might call that, like, it's becoming a bit more conservative, not politically conservative, but sort of it becomes more rigid. And I love when a student who might walk into the room with this or might acquire it in training is able to believe that they do not have to be what they were a day ago, that it doesn't have to be what they thought they would do, what they wouldn't do.
Can you give an example? I love the idea.
They
like someone, like an actual person.
Yeah. Let me think about that. Okay, so student in your studio was sharing that they in the movement training, we often have moments where we check in. This is really important because no matter how good we are at our jobs as teachers, we can't totally know what's going on inside an actor's head or body or heart. So we'll check in. We'll sit in a circle or we'll stand around in a circle and we'll ask, what are you experiencing? What's coming up? And I remember a student shared that that they were at this time, it was a few weeks in the semester, dealing with a lot of anxiety. And they share, you know, it wasn't about the class. They're deal with anxiety in their life, and it's been something they were working through. And you know, we listened, and we went to other people. I just kind of clocked that the student had really, I don't know, kind of courageously shared that was something that comes up for them, and that as they're in training, when they're taking risks in a movement space, in an acting space, even in a vocal training space, those risks bring up that sort of specter of anxiety. Anyway, I offer the student, you know, just some affirmation that exactly what we're talking about, that is the case now. I wasn't trying to diminish it or make it seem like it wasn't a big deal, but that is the case now. It's possible that could change. And I could see in the student this sort of like,
yeah, sure.
This sort of like, I don't think it's gonna, you know, I'm just this way.
Yes.
Now, this is not me challenging the idea that anxiety isn't real, nothing like that. Just wanted the actor to maybe just believe for just a second that the week after that could be different. So a couple of weeks went by, and I was watching the student, working with the student, and I could see that they were really trying to replace the anxious response with a confident, curious response.
Yeah.
I could see them doing it.
Yeah, it's a decision.
It's a decision.
Yeah.
Does that mean they weren't anxious? No, they probably were somewhere.
Yeah.
But the balance between, or the maybe balance is the wrong word, but the sort of blend of worry and concern and anxiety was being a little bit kind of that dynamic was less present as they were.
The recipe, yeah.
And that the actors, you know, we are now aware of this notion of neural plasticity, right? But there's a kind of almost like physical plasticity or even artistic plasticity that I think is real. I don't think it's magical thinking. I think you really can say to it's like the powers of positive thinking. You can say to yourself, I'm going to try to be more X or Y.
No, they have lots of data about that. That's not just woo-woo.
Oh, good.
Yeah, like there's a neuroscience connection to manifestation.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah.
So that's an example to me of a student who is, what is that student doing? That actor is taking ownership of their training, you know? Not just coming in as a kind of passive, maybe curious, but passive recipient.
Yeah.
But there's something in them that's saying, I'm gonna accelerate and expedite my growth. I have an intention to grow.
Yeah.
And then we see it.
Yeah.
And it is, as you were saying about the student in COVID, they were bigger. I am seeing that student be more, it is as if there is more light coming out of them. It's as if there's more energy, more positive energy coming out of them. Not only that, they are working on their flexibility, they're stretching more, and so their body probably is actually a little bigger because their connective tissue is not so tight, their musculature is loosening up and expanding. That to me is something I love about an actor.
Yeah. Yeah. The intentionality of that and the inner flexibility of that.
Yeah.
And the responsibility, like it.
The ownership and responsibility.
Yeah, the outcome is 100% my responsibility.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exciting.
It also, for you and I know this very well, that there is a difference between an actor who is present, receptive, taking notes, taking feedback, but isn't really partnering with the training or partnering with the faculty, right? And an actor who does do that.
Yes, yeah. Sometimes I think it's about being all in.
Yeah.
Like, even for the time that even if you change your mind.
Yeah.
Like, maybe a year down the road you're going to, you know what, this isn't for me.
Yeah.
Or I want to be a stage manager. Or I want to be a dentist or whatever. But while you're doing it, can you do it thoroughly and completely? And not have one foot in and one foot out, because then you won't know if the experiment's going to work.
True, yeah. I think the other side to that is something that creates resistance for me when I'm training, where a student is a little bit attached to narratives or beliefs about themselves that they can't, that may be true, may come from a very real place in their lives, but might be a little bit outdated or not as...
Like name some, just like as archetypes or...
Sure. Like, well, again, I said this earlier, but like an actor will say, well, I've always been a person who's like, I don't know, like I've never been a feeling person.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just not somebody who feels.
Yes.
And inevitably that's,
Yes.
sort of shows up as like, well, I don't cry.
Yes.
And I think to myself, what a limiting thought.
Yes.
First of all, as you and I know, like, you're not here to cry. You're not here to, crying is not the end all be all of anything. But the idea that you are, no, not that it doesn't happen. Crying happens a lot.
You do need to have your feelings if you're going to be an actor.
Sure. But this hypothetical person that I'm bringing up, like,
It'd be like a pianist saying, I don't use my fingers.
But the idea, like, that's the goal, right?
No,
That's
it's not the
because
goal.
people who are worried about their emotionality often have this sort of like, that's the metric.
Yes.
That's the metric.
Yes, I am successful if I cry.
If I cry,
and
that's right.
I'm no talent if I don't.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, but this limiting sort of like, I don't do that.
Yes.
But what I think makes me a little grind my teeth is that there seems to be an odd, almost precious holding of that narrative.
Yeah. Well, because it's scary to let go, because then you're in free fall.
Oh yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Right. Yeah.
And I think to myself, why are you holding on to that?
Yeah.
That's not helping you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Or just, could we experiment with, like, we know what that looks like.
Yeah.
So you can always go back to that.
Yeah.
But could we experiment? I have someone in my class right now. She's really lovely, but she's had to learn, has a habit of being very contained.
Oh.
And she is in movement 1 right now, and I think that's helping her.
And contained is like all of it, like emotionally contained, physically
Everything,
contained?
yeah, physically, emotionally, vocally, energetically.
Restricted.
Yes, restricts herself. And I believe that she had to do that to survive.
Right.
That isn't the natural state. The natural state is a very embodied, meaning child, age 1, age 2, freedom, curiosity, learning, exploring, and then if you get messages that go, that's bad, that's not safe, this person had to shift between many different places living in the first 10, 15 years of her life.
Oh, wow.
With different languages.
That's hard.
Like America, Aruba, Dominican Republic. And in each place, they would be weird because of how they sound. Like, so they just had to, like, don't
zip it up.
Don't even be on the radar.
Yeah.
But they're here, so something is saying, I want something, but they, like, this is real inside baseball, friends, but like in the independent activity in the Meisner work calls for passion, a living hell struggle, a living necessity to do it, a relationship to time. It's a very juicy, frothy thing that can't be on the back foot. That's not what it's for.
Yeah, it can't be marginal.
Right, and this idea of being all in, she understands it, but there's such a structure of like, either I don't do that, that's not me, or it's scary to do that, I can't do that, or like at the door, the other side of the activity when they come to the door and they're receiving all this behavior, I can see the restriction, and sometimes I'll just give a prompt like, stamp your foot, right? And her attitude is, and she'll sort of do it under protest like a kid who won't eat their peas, but something will happen. But the protest is also there too.
Also there.
And yet the class will reflect after she's done the exercise, well, did something else come today? They'll say, yeah, and it's like, okay, you know. So she's still going in two directions,
Yeah.
and she wants it, but it's very scary for her. So I think she has an idea, just to your point, of like, that's not me. I'd be.
That's right.
And I'm from Alaska,
Yeah.
and not really, but
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
like, so that's tricky. That's very tricky. But if you can be willing, like I get people who, you know, the activity sometimes is about these desires, often is.
Yeah.
And we give out this exercise of like, you have $250,000 to spend. What would you spend it on? That's suffered from inflation. It wasn't just, you know. And I get a lot of people say, well, I don't care about money, or I don't care about things. And they wear that as a badge of like eco-terrorism or something like that. And then they're like, I'm not talking about you buying a diamond just to have a diamond. It's about the experience of it.
Yeah.
You can spend money on all kinds of things. Where does desire live in you? Because how can you play Juliet without desire? How can you play Macbeth without desire? You know, so we're trying to awaken that, and the money is just the means to the experience. But they have this, they're so proud of themselves to say, yeah, just money doesn't mean anything, or material things, like I'm forcing myself because we're supposed to want a thing. I said, you don't want the thing, you want, like we were just talking about boots before. Like, we have fun with clothes. We enjoy it. You ride your bike every day. Not because you want to have a bike, but because you like the experience of your head in the wind and it's 6 in the morning.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? You know?
That's also very inside baseball.
Yeah, but like, but that's like, you know, and so, but it's this thing, you're like, I'm like there is no, why be so fixed?
But, and also, don't you think that there's something that is kind of stubbornly unimaginative?
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
The sort of unwillingness to consider.
Yes, they're
like,
cutting their nose off to spite their faces.
Yeah.
What do you get out of that?
What do you get out of that? And when an actor's job is to really portray the whole range of humanity, and so therefore you have to be curious about the whole range of humanity.
Oh, I'm just getting so mad. Because I gave someone a scene once at NYU, and they happened to have a bunch of intersectionalities of identity, which is great. Bring all that to the party. But then they said, what does this scene have to do with me? And, you know, the audience doesn't come to the theater to see you. They come to see themselves, reflected in the stories you're telling. And, you know, what does Mozart have to do with you? But can you express yourself through Mozart? And can you find some identification that doesn't betray your uniqueness, but also has some commonality with that person who doesn't share all your intersectionality? Like, how do we step in, you know? So there is some rigidity.
And the identity or the ego is not the performance.
Yeah.
That is so true. That makes me think of, we talk a lot about impulsiveness, being impulsive as an actor. Getting out of your own way so that those things can happen without thinking about them or performing them. And that happens in movement a lot. Not necessarily.
The impulses or the cutting off, or both?
Both. Yeah. You know, we use a lot of music in movement class, and you know, say as a warm up, we'll do like what I call the rhythm warm up or the rhythm wake up, and you know, I try to use a really wide range, a very diverse. You know, every week it's a little different, and
so hip your playlist.
It is
very hip.
I will say, students are often impressed by my musical taste.
Look at you, you geezer.
So you know. We'll put that music on, and I'll offer, as I was saying earlier, I'll offer like little bits of vocabulary to try. I'll say like, hey, we're going to be working in what I call a macro space today. The macro space is the space at the furthest reaches of your body, like when you imagine your body expanding, reaching, stretching, and so they work with that, and we see impulse meeting technique or impulse being supported by just the technique is just that one word. But the actor is attaching to that word as a kind of conduit or support or prompt or spark.
Yeah.
And suddenly impulse is different in the actor's body.
That's so interesting.
You know?
Yeah.
Suddenly what you might say is like the normal habit in the actor is like, oh my gosh, it's so much bigger.
Yes.
Now of course it's bigger because we're working way far away.
Yeah.
But then we do the opposite. So I say we're now today with this song we're working in the micro space, which is the tightest, closest to your core, to your spine.
Yeah.
And yet and the same thing happens where we see the same actor transforming through this one word.
Yeah, it's a vehicle.
And it's not because they're acting a character or trying to be someone else. They're not performing it. They're using that piece of vocabulary to begin to transform themselves.
Yes.
And the music just kind of helps them like forget about themselves. It helps them kind of grab a hold of something exciting.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's such a, I guess what I'm arriving at as I think about it, Terry, is like, in some ways it's such a simple recipe. And in those, but you have to do it.
Yeah.
And you need support and guidance.
Yeah.
You need the laboratory and the workshop and the collective experience of other people. But it's not to use what you said, it's not woo-woo, it's not magical thinking, it really works.
Yeah. I'm brought back to classes when I was a student at NYU and Mary Overly was my teacher.
Oh, wow.
And not in the viewpoints work.
Oh.
But in Bonnie Bainbridge Cohen's body-mind centering work.
Oh yeah,
which
sure.
she worked with Bonnie. Such inside baseball stuff. But it has ideas like, what happens when movement comes from fluid systems in you or organs in you? And we were on our hands and knees. And she said, what I want to happen is that your body moves forward while your hands and knees stay straight. So you're sort of be leaning. But I want you to try it with the idea that something is pulling your head, so the head is leading it, like you're being pulled. And now I want you to think of it as something's pushing your tailbone.
Oh, cool.
So just like pull and push, getting the same movement happening, but just that kind of thing caused different impulses through the prompt.
Absolutely.
You know, and that's very interesting.
And the prompt is a form of like thinking in your plasticity. It's like it just changes how you think about it.
Yeah.
In the same way, I was observing a couple of students working in your second year, and they were talking actions. They were looking at the scripts and looking at actions, and you know that they were sort of offering each other ideas and saying like, here's one action word, here's another action word, and I was just sitting there pretending I wasn't listening.
Yeah.
And so I would watch them try one action word versus another, right? And it's different.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Same line, same piece of text.
Yeah.
But the prompt, which is effectively the action word, right?
Blaming or accusing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And those words mean different things to each of us.
Yeah. So it has to do with flexibility. So, I guess I have two more topics.
Great.
One is, we talked about at the beginning, maybe before the cameras were rolling, that the reality right now is that the acting business is a bit contracted. I think mostly because it's the economy's scary.
And things are not selling.
And people, there's an article in the Times today that the 25 movies that were released, dramas and comedies, that came out of America, they all flopped.
It's on that.
25 movies flopped.
Yeah. All of them with stars.
With big names, Right. What worked was Predator. So it means they need better content, right? But that in the music business, in the acting business, like there's money being made, but only by a smaller pool of people.
Yep.
So I also remain very hopeful because I think we're also going to need stories. And if you have a really good story and it's done really well, and you have a really perfect storm of collaborators, writers, directors, actors, editors, etc., there's a chance for that to be really good and compelling. Like, I don't think we've now just, we're in a depression of bad
We're
work.
giving up.
What do you think is the best thing someone who wants to do this can do for themselves to be successful?
Well, you have to.
And I'm going to leave the marketing thing to the side. Like, you do have to
Sure.
put yourself
Sure,
into
sure.
the picture and say, hey, look at me. You know, you have to go knock on doors.
Yeah.
You have to audition. But what should you be bringing to those auditions?
You know, I think you have to be ready to provide precision and a degree of efficiency that is integrated with like spectacular imagination and idea and creativity. And so the precision, how you learn to be a precise actor, we might think of that as being very technical, but I think precision is what makes something feel really, really high achieving, really polished, really professional. But without the imagination and the personal investment, you called it the being all in. If you take an actor who's all in, but it's kind of clumsy, messy, it's not shaped, doesn't seem technically interesting, proficient, you know, that, you know, we might say, oh wow, look at that, it's kind of it's a storm, wow.
Yes.
But we don't have any shape to it, as opposed to someone who's a little too precise, a little too clinical, a little too technical, but we don't sense a human being in there.
Yeah.
We don't feel like there's a story being told. You know, audiences, whether it's stagecraft or camera work, audience wants access to the character. The audience wants to feel that they have access to the story that's being told. And the actor's way of telling a story is embodied. It's in their body. It's in their eyes. It's in their emotionality. And so I think that I don't think the right word is balance. I kind of hate the word balance.
No, it's a rich amalgamation.
Yes, of precision, technical precision, efficiency, meaning there's proportionality in your work.
Yep.
You know, you're using the ingredients in a really effective amounts. That to me is what makes someone stand out. What makes us look at an actor and go, well, hey, look at that.
Yeah, so you have to have a lot of life inside you, a lot of passion, a lot of humanity.
That's the imagination.
But you also have to know how to use language.
Yes.
And you have to know how to use your body, and you have to know how to turn a script into behavior that's extremely precise.
Yeah.
So you need a craft, and you need talent, and you need. So to me, I think what I think it's about is about like being really good. Like being really good and being committed to being really good.
Yes.
Like that your North Star is not, I want a job.
Oh, no.
Your North Star is, I want to be really good.
No.
I want to be the best I can be. What do I need to do that?
I have so many actors come to the studio, your studio, our studio, and...
Not enough, friends. We need more. Less people want to train these days.
Well...
Yeah. The whole training industry is contracted.
I have so many students in movement, or even in acting classes where I teach, where they share that their experience of training transforms their sense of what it means to be an actor.
And a human.
Yeah. And that they might have had, what you just said, they might have had this very like reductive sense of what it is to be an actor, which is like, I just need to get booked, I just need to get cast, I just need to, you know. And that is so reductive and so small-minded and so ultimately, I think, unsustainable and uninteresting.
Yeah, it's mid.
Yeah.
Right? There was a whole thing in TV. Yeah, I know it's a Gen Z word or whatever, but like, there's a lot of mid TV.
Yeah.
That like, yeah, I'll watch it, but it's not like, oh my God, that's extraordinary.
Yeah.
And I hope you want to be extraordinary, and I hope you'll do whatever you can to be extraordinary, because that is the way to score in this contracted business, so that they have to give you the job.
Absolutely.
Because you're all in, like Kobe Bryant. You know, I mean, who was in the gym at 4 a.m.
That's right.
You know.
But that transformation from something that's like very run-of-the-mill or mid into something that's really like compellingly clear.
Why? There's so much pizza in New York. Do you know? Like, you
Listen,
can't go anywhere.
I love pizza.
Yeah. But most of it's mid, right? And then a few are like horrible.
Yeah.
And then there's a couple that are like, oh my God.
Should we talk about the pizza place at Industry City?
Which one?
I don't know what it's called.
The
Table 84.
They're all right.
I think it's okay.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
I like Roberta's in Bushwick.
I haven't been there.
That's quite good.
Yeah.
And Saragina in our neighborhood in Bed-Stuy is quite good.
Nice.
Well, when you get pizza that's like I gotta be there. Like
I gotta come back.
I was in Vancouver last week, which is known for its sushi. But it was kind of late. Like, there's really good sushi in Vancouver, apparently. And I went to this place near where I was staying. It's a place called Yaletown. And I said, oh, okay, they got decent reviews. I mean, it's not like $400 omakase. It's like takeout sushi.
Okay.
I got a sushi sashimi combo thing.
Combo, yeah.
Just like big, thick slabs of like fish on rice. I was there like, okay, this is a protein delivery system, protein and carbs, but there was no skill. It was like a prison tattoo, you know? Drill and fill, right? So we don't want that kind of acting. Bill Esper would say, when someone would come to the door and he'd say, why are you here? And he said, well, I came to see if they had a recipe for fried chicken or something. He'd say, that's a butcher's reason, you know? Like where's the imagination in that? Anyway, it's been really nice to talk to you today.
Thanks, Terry.
The other topic I was going to ask was, what do you think because the other thing that there's a lot of in New York besides pizza is acting schools.
So many.
You know, and you don't need a license to teach acting. And I think you're really good at what you do. And I think I'm pretty good at what I do. And I think this school is really good at what it does.
Yeah.
That's a pitch, that's a plug. But what do you think someone should think about if they're looking for a teacher or a school, and what should they avoid? Which includes NYU too.
Yeah. You know, I think you can tell a lot by the sense of the community that you witness and experience in an acting school. And that community includes the teacher, the staff, but also, and I think sometimes most importantly, what you're getting from what you see in the students who are coming there.
What's the vibe?
What's the vibe?
Yeah.
Can you feel a sense of investment?
Yeah.
When you walk in, not just a studio space, but like in the common area, in the lobby.
Yeah.
And I think you can feel that. I think you can perceive it. And I have taught at a lot of private studios across the city for subbed for people and taught here and there. And I've walked into spaces sometimes where I feel like it feels stale. It feels flat.
Yeah.
It feels there's a kind of unintended sort of obsolescence, like sitting in the room,
Malaise.
Yeah, like they've kind of been doing that same thing maybe for too long.
The pictures are dusty.
Yeah. and I think you walk into this studio, like I was just saying, you walk into the studio and you can feel the sparkle.
It's nice.
The energy, the popping energy as students sit at a table, like I was saying, and are working on actions. You can feel the. I come down the hall, and there's always a student who's ready to open the door, not because they know who I am necessarily, but they're always like, hey, let me hold. Like, I know that sounds so stupid, but like
it's care. There's some care.
There's care.
Yeah.
There's attention to others.
Quality, a relationship to quality.
It doesn't feel like people are just in it for themselves, and I think that is, you can smell that in a studio space.
That feels nice.
Yeah, and
you can smell that in an Uber. You can smell that. In an airplane.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it makes a difference.
It makes a huge difference.
And you want to make that your brand.
Yeah.
You need to make that your brand, because if you're on set and you're rude to the person in craft services for
Yeah.
whatever reason,
No.
that person's directing your next project that you're not going to get cast in.
Yeah. And I see students here cultivating that, and then they carry it into the world.
Yes, they're ambassadors of that.
Yeah.
I could talk to you for a long time. I really, really care about you.
Thanks, Terry.
And I think you're
Right back at
very,
ya.
very good at what you do.
Right back at you.
And so smart and so articulate and so sophisticated and so generous.
Wow.
And I'm really lucky to have you here because most of your professional work is happening over at NYU. But we do have you running the movement department and really blessing the level 3 and level 4 movement work with such juicy, great stuff. So
Thank you.
this is a very special person, and I'm really lucky to have you, and I'm glad we could talk today, and I hope you got some nuggets of something out there.
Yeah, thanks, Terry.
Yeah, thank you.
It's my
Really
pleasure.
appreciate it. All right, I got to go teach.